Hello, this is Micah Murphy, founder of the New Structure Ministries, LLC. Here's Bobby, my assistant today. I rescued him from the animal shelter. He's a good little dog. I've had a few dogs, and he happens to be a good one. Yorkies have a really good temperament, by the way, from what I've learned. I'm sure all of them have their own personalities, but in case you're interested. I'm going to talk about pride today. That's what the Lord told me to talk about. And it says that, pride is not always what we think it is. And it says that we can actually humble ourselves. Well, how do we humble ourselves? Well, how did Jesus humble himself? It says he humbled himself and was obedient even to the death of the cross. Jesus in the garden before he was being crucified actually did not want to go to the cross. He was actually begging God to take the cup away if it was possible. The cup meaning the action he was fixing to do was to die. And it was a very intense moment, and he said, "Nevertheless, not my will, but your will be done." That's humility. When you want to do something, but you choose to obey God instead. That's how you humble yourself under the mighty hand of God. Now, what happens when you do that? It says, and God gives grace to the humble. Grace is empowerment. It's power. Okay, Paul said, it wasn't I, but it was the grace of God in me that was laboring the way it did in the churches. Grace is the ability of God in you to do things. So God actually gives you grace to the humble, and he exalts the humble, it said. So humble people are normally very spiritually strong people. They are confident. You don't want to confuse confidence with pride. Usually humble people are real. They're authentic. Pride can be kind of like it can cause people to be fake at times. It says that if you're proud, you fall into the condemnation of the devil. I don't have like real revelation on what that means, but what I would think it means is when you're prideful, you open yourself up to allow, the God kind of allows you to be attacked in a way by the enemy, and Paul said that a messenger of Satan was sent to him to buffet him, to keep him humble because of the revelations he had. And if you happen to have a thorn in the flesh like Paul did, be thankful for it, because pride goes before the fall. You want to stay humble because God's going to continue to give you grace. He's going to continue to exalt you and promote you. You're going to function in a power of the Spirit because you're humble. You know it's not coming from you. It's coming from God. So you're going to want to stay humble and be thankful, for that thorn. Paul said, "Be thankful in all circumstances." Not necessarily for all circumstances, but in all circumstances, be thankful. So that's another thing about humility, is being thankful always. I can tell you another thing. Some people have the spirit of counsel, and they're sent to counsel people. And when I've counseled people, usually God will send someone who's usually already been through something like that, but they need to be doing it by the Spirit. But a lot of times I see this, and a lot of times people think that, and they want to kind of explain why they are the way they are, and they don't realize, and I've been here, so everything I'm saying, I just understand it because I've been through it. And it's really a defense mechanism. It's really an excuse for the way you are, when God's actually sent someone to you in your present time to move you forward in a better way. I know when I've been counseled before and somebody said, you're dealing with this, God has to do this in you. Even if I didn't see it, I just said, okay, I'm going to pray about that. I didn't try to explain it away and make excuses for it. That's an offshoot of pride too, because you really think that you're just telling the person why you are the way you are, because you probably have a good reason in your mind, but it's developed into pride, and now you're using it as an excuse to be what you are. And so you're gonna have to forgive people if they hurt you, if they caused you to be that way. But you got to realize that's another form of humility, forgiveness of people that don't ask for it. We're commanded to forgive everyone, whether they want to be forgiven or not. So I notice a lot of times, sometimes you go to counsel someone and they start telling you the whole story and this and that. They don't realize that they're really putting up a defense. And It's a form of pride. False humility is an extreme form of pride. Sometimes we have to talk about things with people, especially as leaders in ministry. Sometimes those are the only people who understand what you're going through, and it's okay, to trust a small group of people that you trust, and to talk about things and to receive counsel. To ask for counsel is a very humbling act, also. Even if you have a good idea what you want to do or what it is, to ask for counsel is humility. Um, and so, communication is very important. I have another channel, communication skills, which I haven't been using a lot, but even if you have very good communication skills, which I did develop when I was through waiting tables a lot when I was younger and managing people, I developed very good communication skills. But even in that, people aren't always going to hear you correctly. So, because we're humans and none of us are perfect in our souls. So even if you communicate as best as you can, sometimes people will take it the wrong way. I know that's happened recently with me, and you have to give it to God. But, um, you need to be open to counsel. Usually, pride is something you can't see when you have. Usually, other people see it. Sometimes you might be, a lot of times I've talked to people, and when they're like thinking, oh, I hope this isn't pride, it's usually not. It's usually something that I can counsel them that I've experienced before, that it's not pride. Sometimes the soul wants to tell you that something you're picking up, maybe you're picking up some discerning of spirits or something, and that your soul or the enemy wants you to think that's you. And if you're concerned that it's pride, it's probably not. You usually can't see pride when you have it. But one thing is for sure, it always goes before the fall. So anytime pride manifests, you're gonna fall in some way, but that's good because you learn from your mistakes. More than your successes, really. But we should be learning from everything. But we can keep ourselves humble by obeying God no matter what He asks us to do, and that is really the ultimate version of humility. Jesus was humble by obeying God and being obedient even to death. Are you willing to be obedient even to death? I don't believe that God's going to ask anyone to go die, like to go purposefully die like He did with Christ. He did that with Christ. But to die to yourself in other ways, are you willing to do that? To die to anything that has become an idol, that has taken over. God never said you can't love other people or things, but if it's taken over the first love, He's the first love. And anything that's taken over that spot, you have to die to. And I've noticed a lot of times God will put desires in our hearts and we want them. And if you get so intensely set on the desire and having it, it can overtake your first love. And sometimes God wants to see if you'll just give that up for Him. And usually, if you do it, He's actually going to give it right back to you, and maybe even better than you thought, and in the next world to come. So, being humble has a lot of advantages. Right now we're in a time where you want to sow your seed. If you're watching me, you want to sow your seed into this ministry, the Lord's saying. Where you sow your seed is important. And God has His ecclesia, which is His legislature governing body in the earth. And He has little separate ecclesia hubs, we could say. And there's something the Lord's given us the grace to do, is to just kind of form this portal where the angels have free access to deliver prayers being answered. And we're in a season right now of a lot of answered prayers. And I would encourage you, by the Spirit, kind of prodding me to let you know, if you're looking to sow a seed, which is right and biblical, and you need to, because if you look at the promises with tithes, offering, giving, it says that God will rebuke the devourer. So anytime the devil comes to devour anything, your children, your finances, your health, God will rebuke him. It keeps you in the timing of God. You won't cast your fruit outside of time. So that way you'll get the most impact and harvest from everything you're doing. This is like the once or twice in the whole Bible God says to actually test Him in this, is to give. And it's very simple. The more you give, the more you'll get. I don't talk about money unless God tells me to, and for some reason He's been telling me to lately, and I understand why, because He's ready to really bring a good giant harvest. And we just entered a season of answered prayers, and when you sow into a certain place, you kind of reap what they're walking in. And we in this ministry are walking in a place of answered prayers right now. We're kind of like on a launch, and we're just going up, and we've had a 5 years of just training and correction and discipline, and it's now that we're reaping a great harvest. So I would encourage you to sow in it for your own good. It's not that I need it or I'm trying to get rich. It's for your own good, you know. So um, that's it. I love y'all. You can go to thesonsofgod.net, sign up for our free email newsletters. You can donate numerous ways there, and feel free to share this with anyone. And I'll talk to you soon.